Charting disintermediates financial news from reality. Now, my friends, disintermediation means to reduce or eliminate the role of an intermediary. Now, what we mean by the quote is that the financial news attempts to explain reality to you. The charts, however, are actual reality that you can see. You can open up your charts. You can tune into our program every day. You can see what's really happening. And the only thing that matters, the real reality, is price movement. It's the candlesticks that you see. It's the interpretation of that price movement with the indicators. What you're told on the news is the information between the commercials they are selling you. And there is no guarantee that that information is reality. Reality is what's really happening. Now, people try to explain to you what's happening and why that's happening, but at the same time, you can see what's happening on the charts, and you can use the charts to help you decide why it's happening and where it's going. So what do we see going on today? We see everything down at least 1%. In fact, stocks down, the S&P down 2%, the NASDAQ 100 down 2.5%. We see 20-year bonds down over 1%, gold down about 1%, and Bitcoin up about 1%. Now let's jump first into the S&P 500. Looks like at the end of the week, we may very well have a weekly vertical crossover going down. This last one jumping in at about the 407.50 mark, up to a high of 422.82. Anywhere in there that you pulled out a chunk of profit, good on you. And of course, our two-day crossover, almost said that wrong. A recross is when things go back in the direction of the weekly, which was up. When it crosses over like it did going down, it's just a crossover going in the opposite direction of the weekly. And of course, that is your last chance to pull out of a trade. And of course, where was that? Somewhere at the 419 mark. So between 407.50 and 419, not bad, is it? Now, what do we see going on as far as the weekly goes? We said the weekly vertical crossover looks like that'll be happening by the end of the week. Derivative oscillator losing momentum, red candle forming. On the two-day chart, what do we see going on there? For Tuesday and Wednesday, big red down candle, accelerating derivative oscillator, price percent oscillator heading down. And of course, on the half-day chart, things just accelerating down in the morning, further down in the afternoon. So again, price just hammering down as these markets trash it out. And where do you think that our trades, if things keep going this way, when we get to the end of the week, our weekly vertical crossovers that we track for you, we find you 10, try to find you 10 going up, try to find you 10 going down. Which direction do you think most of them will probably be going for the week if this continues and we have as strong a down week as it looks like? You'll probably have a lot more down weekly vertical crossovers than up. And of course, which direction do you think you would probably want to look for your practice trades? The down ones. Again, when the tide goes out, all the boats tend to go down. If your index is going down, then of course, typically some of your best trades are going to be going in that direction. So we'll be looking for that. Let's move on to the Qs, down over 2.5% for the day. And of course, we had that weekly vertical crossover going down this last week. 334.87, somewhere around, we'll say the 335 mark. And we've hit a low so far down to 316. That is nice. Big red down candle forming, price percent oscillator pulling away from the red signal line, still waiting for that derivative oscillator to go negative. What do we see on the half day? Again, a big plunging red down candle, derivative oscillator hammering down, price percent oscillator going down. And on the half-day chart, down in the morning, and again, a little bit lower in the afternoon, that accelerating only derivative oscillator, price percent oscillator moving down. Some tough stuff happening in the NASDAQ 100 also. Lots of downward pressure. If you jumped into that down move, with PSQ, the inverse fund for the Qs. That's Papa, Quebec, Sierra. Oh, PSQ, sorry. My dyslexia kicking in there. Papa, Sierra, Quebec. What do we see going on? Again, a booming up for the week. This is, of course, the price is a lot lower, isn't it? It is, but it is set up to move the same percentage that the NASDAQ 100 moves down. That's what an inverse fund is all about. So did you jump into that on Friday, or did you pick up maybe some puts in a practice trade? Hope you did one of those two things if you want to practice and get better. Now, let's leave stocks and go to bonds. What do we see going on? Well, bonds are down for the day 1.05%, as I said. And of course, we had that weekly vertical crossover back on the 30th of April. Not much of a week after that. And of course, this week really hammering down. However, derivative oscillator still quite positive. Price percent oscillator still positive. We'll see how things move throughout the course of the week. We finally see the derivative oscillator switching over to negative. Price percent oscillator pulling down, still hasn't crossed yet. Big red down candle. We saw as the week started, we penetrated through the weekly chart and have just accelerated down, down, down on that 2-day chart. And look at this, 1, 2, 3.5 days of heavy down movement in the half-day chart. Derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum. Price percent oscillator just falling off the deep end as bonds move down strongly. And again, everything moving down together. What about gold? Well, we've got a nice week in gold as far as the candlestick goes. And again, gold was the least of our losers today at just under 1% at 0.99%. Price percent oscillator still heading up. Derivative oscillator gaining upward momentum. Green up candle for the week with a small wick on top, touching right on that 50 period average moving period, average moving period, 50 period moving average. Sorry, just touching right on that. Let's go to the 2-day. What do we see there? Well, that's where we see this drop off after things really bounced up high on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We can see where the price percent oscillator is losing that great up movement that it had, and the derivative oscillator has gone flat. Price is still above the 2-day and well above the weekly. We go to the half-day, and we can see where things sprang up and reached there on Monday in the morning, and then losing a little bit in the afternoon, and of course rolling off on Tuesday and Wednesday. And again, a sideways slide, yes, and it did end up moving down, particularly at the end of the day on Wednesday. We see the price percent oscillator, and it looks like it ended the day crossing over, going down. We could probably try to redraw some kind of, there's really not much to draw there, but we can put that trend line in. Derivative oscillator still barely negative, so again, downward pressure on gold, some in the short chart, but as far as the 2-day and the weekly goes, they're still trying to hold up there. So maybe, maybe with some of this movement, people, getting rid of some gold to cover shorts, perhaps. I don't know. And I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to let the charts lead me into what's actually happening. Not going to try to play financial news and disintermediate for you what's going on. No, I'm going to actually let you look at the charts. Now, let's go and look at the Bitcoin. What is the Bitcoin doing? Well, it is up for the day 0.95%. But again, we look at the charts. Price percent oscillator still moving down on the weekly chart. Derivative oscillator gaining a little bit of downward momentum. What do we really see happening as far as this week goes? A little green candle really sliding sideways. 2-day chart, again, price percent oscillator maybe flattening a little bit. Derivative oscillator losing some downward momentum. We have a red spinning top open box, almost a doji. Lots of indecision, and again, not doing much for us. Still that overhang of the down pressure on Bitcoin. And of course, we have seen where on Tuesday afternoon, we had the half-day chart price percent oscillator crossover going down, derivative oscillators gaining momentum. So again, just not a lot of energy in Bitcoin at this time. We'll continue to watch and see which way these things go. Thank you so much for being with us. We always appreciate you, appreciate all the purchases of the books, the Patreon supporters. And of course, for those Patreon supporters, we will be putting out for you either tonight or tomorrow. We'll be getting out to you the names, symbols of the stocks for our weekly vertical crossovers going up and going down, 20 of them on the S&P 500. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.